What is going on, everyone, and welcome to r/EntitledParents. Now, today's first story, as you can tell by the title, is one of the weirdest requests from a customer I've ever heard, asking an employee, "Why aren't you smiling?" It's a weird one, let's get into it. Why aren't you smiling? One of my biggest pet peeves when working in retail was the countless times that customers got mad over situations that were out of the employee's control. Being out of a certain item, machines breaking, price changes, items being reshelved, everything that was left to the higher-ups, not the overworked and underpaid staff. I've got many stories of people thinking I can magically make their favourite items be back in stock, or that I could change the price of a certain item. Here's one story where the outcome was actually satisfying for a change. When I was 18, I used to work at a convenience store, and one of our regulars was an elderly lady who bought the same bottle of off-brand Frappuccino and smokes every single day. We'll call her CL for Cranky Lady. At first, she didn't seem all that bad, but she ended up being the type of person who wanted everything to be just so. The Cranky Lady wanted the exact same routine every single day. If we were out of her favourite cigarettes, out of her favourite coffee, or if she waited in line for more than 5 minutes, she'd share her displeasure with everyone unfortunate enough to listen. "Ugh, I can't believe it. I haven't got all day, you know. Are you freaking kidding me?" Now, this was back in my late teens, so I already had the self-esteem of roadkill. Ergo, I wasn't too fazed by people berating me. Plus, I knew I'd just get in more trouble if I retaliated, so I just learned to put up with this Cranky Lady's shenanigans. One day, the Cranky Lady's routine was thrown way off course. By the time she entered the store, we were just restocking the cigarette shelves. There were no more bottles of her favourite coffee, and there was a line of about 5 or 6 other customers. You could hear her usual exclamations of annoyance from across the store. I was running the register and got more nervous than usual when she approached the counter. Quick note, the quotes might not be exact as this was about 5 or 6 years ago. The Cranky Lady said, "It's about dang time. Where's my Marlboro Lights?" "We're stocking the shelves as we speak, Mom. It'll be a few minutes." "I don't have a few minutes, dang it. I've been coming here every single day and I always get my iced Frappuccino and Marlboro Lights." "We do have other kinds of Marlboro if you're interested." "I don't want any other kind of Marlboro. I always get Marlboro Lights." Now, I wasn't diagnosed yet, but I developed CPTSD from being treated similarly by my father throughout my childhood, and something about the way this lady yelled at me gave me a similar feeling to when my dad was doing it. I tried to keep my best customer service demeanour, but it was hard to keep it up when you're also trying to bottle up your urge to get angry or start crying. Then, the Cranky Lady said something I don't think I've ever heard anyone complain to me about. "Why aren't you smiling?" "Mom, please, calm down. Whatever happened to being bright and cheerful towards customers? Whatever happened to the customer's always right? Now, are you done getting my dang cigarettes?" A couple of ladies in line criticised the Cranky Lady for using foul language in front of their kids. But she just said, "Oh, shut up. This is America. I can say whatever the heck I want." Just when I felt like I was about to either explode in anger or in tears, my hero boss walked in and started escorting the Cranky Lady out. She did try screaming, "Get your hands off me! You respect your elders! I'm 78 years old!" We didn't have any security, so my boss just guarded the door, letting other customers come in or out while keeping the Cranky Lady out until she gave up and left. My boss apologised profusely and told me that the Cranky Lady was actually his grandma-in-law. Apparently, everyone in their family thinks she has Asperger's syndrome, and a big part of it is obsession with routines. Now, I kind of felt a little bad for her looking back on it, but also very much glad to have her gone. Later, my boss banned her from the store until she, and I quote, "got her stuff together, cause Judgment Day's coming hard and fast," whatever that means. Anyway, moral of the story, retail employees are people too. Yeah, that is definitely a strange one. I'm not sure I've ever heard a story of a customer saying to an employee, "Come on, you have to smile, you're meant to be happy all the time." I mean, remember guys, employees are people too. As OP said at the end of this, you're not happy all the time and you can't put on a fake facade of being happy all the time anyway. Yeah, I get it, it's kind of your job to be nice to customers, and I guess you are taught that the customer is always right, loosely, but in this situation, you cannot expect to be smiling to every single customer that walks in the door, every single day for the entire year. That's mental. And also, how can you expect to smile at an entitled lady like this, who for one day in her life hasn't got the iced frappuccino, the Marlboro cigarettes that she always gets? I mean, come on, lady. Yeah, fair enough if you have Asperger's, you have to have your routine and stuff like that. Absolutely fine. But just for one day out of the, crazy number of days that you go to this shop, it's not the way you want it to be. Oh, come on, lay off a little bit. Now moving on to our second story of today's video, Cray roommate's mum hates me. Okay, this happened when I was about 20 years old and I'd already been living on my own for about 2 years at this point. I was talking to a good friend of mine, let's call her Ella, telling her about how I was looking into finding a new apartment that was a better distance from college and work, maybe something a little cheaper too. She kind of perked up and eventually brought up the idea that we get a place together. We were both great friends, we liked the same food, music, movies, we loved art and writing too, so I thought it would be a great idea and of course it would cut the cost of the bill. Not long after, we found a place that was perfect for roommates. The only drawback was there was no fireplace. My old place had one, but that certainly wasn't a deal breaker. So we put down the payments and began to move in the following day as it was move-in ready. I should have known her mother was going to be a problem before we had even finished moving in though, but I just didn't realise just how much of a problem until later. I'd brought along my mum, dad, sister and my sister's husband to help me move. I brought a washer and dryer, queen bed, couch and kitchen table to the mix. After all, I had been on my own for a while, so I pretty much had the whole shebang, and all she had was her bedroom stuff, as this was her first time living away from home. Anyway, I had promised to buy pizza for everyone and already had some soda cooling in the fridge, so after moving day I could feed my helpful family. Ella's mum was there too, but she only helped bring in Ella's stuff, and once my couch was moved in, she just sat on it and watched as we did everything else. "My daughter is not your slave," she whined. Ella had offered to help, but we didn't ask or make her do anything. Besides, this was her place too. I can promise she'll eat at our table sometime. Eventually, everything was inside and I decided to order the pizza, but her mum spoke up again. "I want veggie supreme on my pizza," she said. I frowned at this. I'm okay, of course, with veggie pizza, but I know what the rest of my family likes and I was only ordering 4 pizzas. No one here really likes all veggie pizza. I guess I could do one that is half and half, I offered. "What? You mean I do all this work and I don't get my own pizza?" She was literally shrieking. "Of course not, we are all sharing these." Thankfully, Ella intervened and offered to get her mum her own pizza, although I could hear her grumbling the whole time that her precious daughter is so generous and I'm so selfish. By the way, her and Ella shared that pizza. I was exhausted by the time everyone had left, and it was pretty late when I'd finally set up at least half my bedroom, so I crashed and went to sleep. I didn't have work for the next 2 days, and it was a weekend, so no college either, so I was looking forward to a nice long sleep and using the days to set things up and make our apartment a home. Unfortunately, the next day I was rudely awoken by a loud banging on our front door. It was 5:30 AM. I was about to get up, but I heard Ella answering it, and unsurprisingly it was her mum. I knew Ella and her mother were close, and I think she secretly hated me for stealing her daughter, when moving together was not my idea, but whatever. I grumbled but went back to sleep, waking up again a few hours later. I made myself something to eat, and not a moment later, Ella and her mum walked in with bags of groceries. Apparently, they'd gone shopping in the early hours. As she sat the bags down, she looked at me with that familiar tinge of disgust, which I will become accustomed to. "Listen, we just spent over $100 at the store today getting things that you can both use. I expect at least half of what I bought to be reimbursed right now," she demanded. She made sure Ella was out of earshot before saying this to me. "Excuse me? You can't be serious. I'm not giving you any money. You went out shopping with Ella and bought a bunch of stuff that I had no say in whatsoever. If I went along, I would have gotten these things myself, but it was your choice to buy things without at least consulting me, and now you want my money? No way," I said firmly. She was used to her daughter pretty much doing whatever she asked, and I'm fairly certain she was shocked that I talked back to her, considering she just opened and closed her mouth like a gasping fish. These encounters happened often, her mum coming over at ungodly hours and coming over a lot too, at least 4 to 5 times a week. If she knew I was home, she always tried to watch TV loudly to wake me, but Ella shut her down completely on doing that. Ella would, to be fair, stand up to her sometimes. She would often take Ella shopping and demand money from me until I told Ella all about it, and that finally stopped too. She always praised her daughter and thought of me as a selfish female dog, but I couldn't care less about what she thought. I still remember one day I was in my bathroom. We had separate personal bathrooms, taking a shower before work, and when I walked out, there was Ella's mother sitting on my bed, actually sitting on my work clothes I had laid out, her arms folded across her chest. "We need to talk," she said snootily, but I went ballistic. "You crazy dog, get the F out of my room. I never invited you to ever come in here. I'm in a freaking tower for Christ's sake. You want to talk?" She stood up about to speak, but I cut her off. "Get out," I screamed at her. She seemed annoyed, but left my room, and I had to re-iron my clothes since she apparently had no decency or sense of other privacy. When I saw her again, I told her flat out, if she ever went in my room again when I wasn't there and didn't invite her, I'd slap her into next week. I was done being anything but mean to this woman because she treated me with nothing but hatred, so why even try? Thankfully, about 3 months later, she mellowed a little. She stopped showing up so early and stopped stopping by so often, and when she did visit, she would make a snide comment about not feeling welcomed. But honestly, as far as I was concerned, she wasn't welcomed. She and Ella would leave as soon as she arrived. One weekend, me and Ella held a small get-together. A few guys, a couple girls, and of course, me and Ella. We were having snacks and playing Guitar Hero. Full on mic, drums, guitars. It was a blast, and we were having a great time. All of a sudden, a loud banging on our front door, and I mentally groaned. Only Ella's mother not like that. Ella sighed and opened the door, and as soon as her mother saw the group, she gave this fake gasp in horror. "Oh my lord, why are there boys over here? It's already 7 o'clock, it's too late for them to be here," she said, extremely overreacting. Keep in mind, I'm 20 at this point and Ella is 22. "We're just having fun, Mum. Besides, it's not a big deal. We have guys over all the time. These guys are our friends." Ella said this seeming to be just as confused as I was. She acted like our apartment was her house and her rules were no boys allowed though. "I expect this kind of behaviour from her mum said, pointing at me accusingly. "I know she's nothing but a tramp, and I know you're a good girl and would never let these boys over without talking to me about it first." I was fuming. Thankfully, before I slapped this woman, Ella actually yelled at her mum, which probably had a more lasting effect than me assaulting her. "Mum, how dare you say such a thing about my best friend? She had been extremely patient with you about how rude and terrible you are whenever she's around. You are horrible to her, and yet she still has never asked you to get out of the house or to stop coming over. But to call her such a terrible thing, it's now my turn. Get out," she said firmly. "Oh, you can't be serious. I'm your mother." She was whining now like she was ready to cry. "I'm serious. Get out. Go home, and unless you call first, do not come over here. We won't be opening the door if you do. Also, next time you call, I'm handing the phone directly to Jay, me, OP, and if the first words out of your mouth are not a sincere apology, we won't be talking again," Ella said. "You can't make me apologise for the truth," Ella's mum said, tears starting to fall now. "Get out already. I swear I will call the police," Ella screamed at her, and her mum stormed out sobbing as she did so. I was so proud of Ella, I hugged her, and after we all calmed down, our friends included, we resumed our fun Guitar Hero games. It took almost 3 weeks before finally, after hundreds of calls not having an apology to me, she finally relented and said she was sorry for all the name calling and being so rude towards me. I'm sure she didn't mean it, but I accepted the apology anyway. She was better after and did call before coming over, but she was still rude whenever she thought she could get away with it. When it was time to renew our lease, I had to tell Ella I couldn't live with her anymore. Honestly, because she came with her mum, and I was kinda through with living with my parents, and much less living with hers. Thankfully, she understood. I got my own place and she moved back home. We are still friends to this day and still close to one another, so thankfully this didn't ruin our relationship. "Oh, what? No, Ella, you were so close to being, nearly out of your mother's grasp, but you moved back in with her? No. You were just inches away from having your own life of freedom and perfection. Such a shame, such a shame. But yeah, honestly, I get it from Ella's perspective, right? She's not going to completely cut her mum off. She is her mum after all, and I imagine she loves her. But for OP, yeah, as you say in the last paragraph, you've just moved out from living with your parents. You don't want to live with someone else's parents. That's what it turned into. That's ridiculous. So OP, I totally understand why you were done with this. It's a real shame because you seem to really get on with Ella. I mean, having Guitar Hero parties sounds like a lot of fun. I'd love to get involved in that. If I could get the invite next time, that'd be great. But apart from that, it's a real shame. But hey, this is what happens with entitled people. There's nothing really you can do about them. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of r/EntitledParents. If you loved it, then let me know in the comments down below. Drop a like on this video. Watch some more right here. Check out this full playlist of all my Entitled Parents videos. And finally, if you are not already, hit the subscribe button for daily Reddit content. Turn on notifications as well, so you'll never miss out on one of my daily uploads. They are daily, by the way. Kind of crazy that. Yeah. Anyway, I will see you tomorrow with a brand new one. Peace.